There we go. So, welcome everyone to the last OLS Community Spotlight series, at least for now. I don't know. It's been quite a success and it's been very inspiring and emotional. So, we might repeat soon. Who knows? So, yes, I'm just going to go for very gentle housekeeping stuff. This session is being recorded and it will be shared in our YouTube channel. We have a shared notes document which Johanna has already shared. Feel free to sign in, share with us which other community gatherings are you looking forward to and why. And the way that we will work today's session will be by just having, we have three speakers. They will talk one after the other, and then we'll have a joint discussion dash Q&A. We will be working under a OLS code of conduct, which is there linked in our shared doc. If there's anything to report, please contact me or the team. We just try to have a respectful session, which encourages also discussion. I think we all are quite familiar with this. And lastly, we do love emojis. Please keep those coming. It is very nice when you are talking to a room like this to have like some, hearts and things flying around. With that, I'm just going to hand over to Johanna so she can properly chair the session.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So hey folks, I'm really excited to be hosting this one. I missed cohort calls and we didn't actually get any in last year because they were NASA funded, and we know that USA federal funding was a bit chaotic last year. So it's really good to see you all. I also can't wait to see the ones I couldn't make it to. But anyway, I'm just going to encourage everyone who hasn't yet to join the attendees sign-in list. I myself am quite looking forward to Collaborations Workshop 26, that's run by the SSI, and OSPARC, which is an event that OLS is running, both of which have an in-person component in Belfast in April, April this year. And Patricia's also noted that OLS should be having an in-person retreat just for the core team in June, which is going to be exciting, I hope. I'm really looking forward to that. Um, okay, yeah, please feel free to sign in. I'll post again into the chat one more time. We've got Aman Pradeep as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to launch just in a moment straight to the speakers. If you have questions, please write them in the chat or in the document. The document's easier. I think we'll end up just copying and pasting from the chat anyway into the document, and then we'll have a joint Q&A at the end. Pradeep, um, I mean, I'm sure if you didn't mind sleeping on a sofa bed, we could probably squeeze a couple of people in if you can get there on your own. Folks, just for the recording for context, Pradeep was asking how to join the core team before June if there's a retreat. It'll be House OLS, so it'll just be a bunch of us in a random place in a forest, so in a farm, which should be pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to stop delaying and having speakers wriggling and saying, when do I actually get to speak? Yo, you're speaking a lot. So Alex, I believe you're going first. Over to you. Who are you and why are you here?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Alexander Martinez. I'm from Colombia, from Bucaramanga, Colombia. I'm here from my journey. We start with Reina, but she is also here. Uh, some years ago with our project. So I can start sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. So I say I'm Alex. I'm a doctoral student here in Bucaramanga, the Universidad Industrial de Santander. And with these minutes, I want to share my journey with the company of OLS. I'm using an spiral because I think the change and especially the time is not linear. we are always evolving, and we never came back to the same point. We are always building our over our history, our experience. So this is especially the point here with this I'm showing. And everything starts with OLS, with the project La Conga Physics. This is a project here in Latin America, uh, financed by the Erasmus and Erasmus Plus project. And we right now we start with working with OLS in the cohort 3. This is like 4 years ago. I don't know right now. And yeah, I want to. Uh, this is a difficult exercise when an introspective exercise to thinking what we have done and how we came back to this point. So I want to show you some of the important things I, I find in this exercise. So I start with the capacity, what the OLS give us is especially training on open science. We were familiar with open science, especially from free software and the open data movement. But with OLS, we see the big picture, and especially we gain the ability to implement it in our project. So this was the first point, the practical point. But I think the most important thing with OLS is that it gives the more capacity to work with other people, with amazing people that we know over our journey. So especially here, I just want to show some logos for these communities. And yeah, we we start working with more people than we was planning our project. The La Conga Physics especially involved many people in Latin America, but this is the starting point. Without OLS, we can never, well, maybe yes, but knowing the way we do it, people amazing like Metadocencia in Argentina, from Red Clara was also special. And yeah, this is something I want here. Yeah, I want to personally, this is our project, and personally también also change. It was a catalyst, OLS was a catalyst and accelerator for change for our project and for me especially. So I get a little lost in my picture. And yeah, with La Conga, we work in training Latin America, and open science it was a fundamental point for the project. So with OLS, we can define our the to-do points in the project. We gain the openness, but also with the clarity in the project, and especially with sustainability. So it was very important for us also what we learn in OLS to give the project more sustainability, and working with other people. In my journey with OLS, I also work with many people. I say work because at the end, in the training process with the OLS, we were like working together, because it was not like I was guiding the people, but especially I learned a lot with many projects. I serve as a mentor. Just to remark some names: Rebecca, Jessica, Irene, Patricia, Sebastián, Virginia. I don't remember I have all the names here. It's, many people, and with this, I learn a lot more about outside my project. I learned even about marine science, from bioinformatics, how to train people, how to build communities. That is also another special thing in my journey. And now, I think this is all I want to show. And I want to remark some like products we have with the help of OLS. The first one is a project called MiLab. This is a platform we build with the open science principle. This is a set of tools we build to offer the people more tools to work open, to have its code in a repository, to have its data in also in a repository. And we have here a focus on the information on the who has the data. So we give people an opportunity to have services with more control over its privacy. And this product also helped me to get my master, so it was a part of my learning process. And the other project I want to talk is a hackathon. It's called Coafina, this one. This is something we were running for like 3 or 4 years. I don't remember. Maybe Reina could write in the chat. This is a hackathon in Latin America with a focus on open data. So we get people to propose projects, and then we get people to form groups and try to solve these problems. Uh, People from Argentina to Mexico has worked here. People that never get known build a team and try to solve a problem that has an impact in its communities or in the region especially. So this I think these two projects are very important for how we are done. And just to finish in the line of changing and evolving, we are now working with the Bongo Physics. That is an evolution of the La Conga Physics project. We open for more people, more countries in Latin America, and for more study fields. Maybe I can say it. More people working on other topics, but with the physics in the center. And just to finish, uh, a remark, I think OLS changed how we or I work with others. This is all I want to share.
Gracias, Alexander. Round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much. And folks, actually just listening to this and seeing who's here, I realized a growth moment that I've had from OLS, and like from the community here, which is empezó a aprender español, porque tenemos muchos amigos y amigas en nuestra comunidad. How was that? So I learned to. I'm still learning, and my listening is terrible, but my speech is sometimes okay. Learning Spanish, and it's really nice to have this community of people around me who are tolerant of me speaking slowly, and like saying, "Repeat that, please," and thank you, everyone. It's because we have so many Latin American and Spanish speakers that I've had that chance. Um, Okay, questions for Alex come at the end. Please do add them. There's room in the Etherpad after the sign-ins, and we'll move on to our next talk. Alex, I'm going to ask you if you could mute, please, because we're getting some background speech. Thank you. And next up is Lucia. Who are you and why are you here today?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm a biologist. Actually, I was part of OLS since cohort 6, and I have slides to show you today. So I think it's better I share them now. Yeah. Okay. You can see the slides? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so currently I'm located in Canada. I work as a researcher PI at the University of Alberta, and I like it here, even it's really cold and snowy today. But few more words about me. I think it's good to start from my background. And my main background is, as I said, biology, but specifically evolutionary biology and ecology, but also ecotoxicology and evidence synthesis, which includes meta-research. So I love doing research. So my talk will be mostly about research projects and how those things evolved thanks to joining OLS at some point and learning from OLS community. So we started in 2023 when I was accepted into OLS 6 cohort as MNT, and I did a little activities after that which were related. But in 2025, I was also serving as a mentor for cohort number 9, which was surprisingly Canada-based, and I was already partially transitioning to Canada, so I spent part of a year in Canada, part of Australia. That was fun. And all those things led to some other activities after, but I will go into details in the following slide. So this is kind of a timeline. So let's go back to 2023. My project was actually a meta-research project. I wanted to look at the recognition systems in science, how they shape our work, our research, who gets recognized for what, and how those systems work. So I came up with a project where we looked at one specific type of very common awards in science, awards for the best paper published in a journal. And this was a new thing for me, working across disciplines. So it wasn't just ecology, evolutionary biology. Actually, this was generally about open science everywhere. So one of the questions we've been asking in the award criteria, is there any mention of good scientific practices and especially open science practices and values? And I need to give you the answer immediately. I don't know if you guessed it or not, but the answer was no. And generally, what we found is that awards, this type of awards generally lack transparency. They are not inclusive, no equitable, and they don't support open science at all, with one or two exceptions. But great thing about this, the positive side, I was expanding my collaborations and I really enjoyed working with people from all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of countries. If you look at the list of people, they are really, really diverse people, all career stages. I think we had like 5 continents represented, some people even not working in academia. So that was great. And another thing that I gained was resources for building and leading better collaborations. So example of those resources was expression of interest form. So people who wanted to join the team filled in some basic information that we needed to accommodate them in the project, but also know their strengths and their special needs. Also, all sorts of materials that were publicly posted on GitHub and webpage, including project description, contributorship guidelines, and code of conduct. Other documents that we were using were also accessible online. So those were mainly all sorts of Google Docs. And every project, so starting from that, had we actually pre-registered protocols earlier, but now the protocol was developed by the team. And also I had lots of templates of how to write really nice emails. And I think OLS is very famous for that, for really nice, engaging messages and emails. So this was also a great lesson for me. So the skills that I built were for better collaboration and community building, but also this experience gave me confidence to lead big teams, very diverse teams, and very cross-disciplinary projects. So one example of activity that I did later that was more with eco community, but we also had participants who were not biologists. So we looked at fee structure, so basically financial accessibility of over 200 international biological societies. And examples of findings from this paper, which is now published, so generally eco-evo societies are not super expensive, and almost all of them have discounts for students, but less than half have discounts or waivers from people from low-income countries. And also there are very few discounts for postdocs and other groups of people. They may not be able to pay memberships. So 2025, as I mentioned, I was asked to be a mentor, and I was assigned to two very nice graduate students from Canada. And they were representing intersectionally group, so kind of the topics were related to EDI and also to indigenous data sovereignty. And I learned a lot from this project about Canada, about those topics, what sort of challenges graduate students and early career researchers face here in this area. And I also was able to give them advice on dealing some of those challenges. So that was really great too. And actually, I think that kind of strengthened my interest in this area. And I have an opportunity in May supervising an undergraduate indigenous student who will be doing a meta-research project on how indigenous data sovereignty is implemented in environmental research, published journal articles. So other activities that are now either completed or in progress. So in this best paper awards project that I mentioned earlier on, we noticed this strange pattern, but it seems like most of the awards, this type of awards, were likely established in the last 10, 15 years. And we thought, okay, that looks like some sort of award proliferation, but this is a single type of award. Does it happen for all awards? Like, is it like a big drive to have more and more award types and numbers? Like everybody starts giving award for everything everywhere. And we are doing a project now about all awards in ecology, evolutionary biology across land societies. But we also had another question, a follow-up question from the this accessibility project. So, okay, probably everybody will agree we have some big diversity, inclusivity, and equity problems in science. Who is tasked in working on that and fixing the system? Okay, and are those people who actually themselves are some sort of minorities, so historically underrepresented in discriminated groups in science? Who's doing the work? So what we did, and this project is almost completed now, we analyzed EDI-related structures, which means all sorts of EDI committees and officers of 60 international eco-evolvent societies who have such structures. And we looked at gender, career stage, and we have some very interesting findings to share soon. And I think the findings are as you would expect. Okay, yeah. So a little bit about the project. So this is a series of, I would say, big team collaborative projects. We usually start via hackathon. It's usually during a virtual conference, but we also allow people to join later. The teams are open, so most of the time we have like an open call and people just express their interest. Also, we are very open with communications and to what sort of contributions are provided. We also publicly track those contributions. We follow open science practices that includes registering projects, sharing data and code, and this kind of acts as an example to early career researchers and others who are members of the team, how to do that, how it works. So they can do that in their products after that. So it's like really hands-on training for people. In all those projects, we really try to support equity, diversity, inclusion. This is done via transparency, so everybody knows the rules. We have code of conduct. We are very responsible. We are accommodating different needs, and also there are always some sort of emergency cases, people needing the extensions or extra information, extra support. And so we are very flexible and supportive in this term as well. So, and also to enable contributions from people from everywhere in the world, and all sort of time schedules. Most of the work is done asynchronously, I would say 99.9%. So that applies to data collection, communications, providing feedback. And yeah, everything can be done like that. So one of the tools that kind of came out of those collaborative research projects is called Dragon Kill Points. And you might be wondering what it is. This is actually a name we adopted from online virtual gamers who do like a big team quest. Sometimes it's a quest to kill a dragon, that's where the name came from. And we thought actually they have kind of similar problems to what we have in science, like how to track who did what on the team and how to share the rewards from the quest among people. So they collect those points in a special spreadsheet or somewhere, like a little program. They record who did what when and how much points they are assigned. And then they use those points to split the loot. So we applied similar approach in our projects, and now actually I'm really pleased that the people that worked with me on the project now applying this approach to their projects that are now happening. And basically we do all those reporting, so people actually can see almost in lifetime like what is the status of their point, but they also see how much other people contributed. So they see, for example, if we decide to assign authorship based on those points, they can see, okay, the people who get better position on the paper actually did do more. Okay, it's not because they are friends or from the same lab group. It's really based on contribution. So this approach is now accepted to a journal as a publication. And of course, the title says Dragon Kill Points. And there are many dragons in the paper. So we had even problems with reviewers complaining, we have too many dragons. And in terms of diversity of the team, so that's another thing that I wanted to highlight. The teams are really, really diverse. I think partially thanks to this approach and generally being open and flexible. So for example, last two teams of projects that are nearing completion now, the same people volunteered for both projects. So we had around 30 people in each team, but collectively they speak over 20 languages. They represent 17 countries of residence, 23 countries of origin, from all 6 continents. They are mostly early career researchers. There are a few older ones, and more than half are self-identifying as women. Also, almost half self-identify as some sort of minority in science and research. And most of those people are members of SOTI, so I will use last slide to present SOTI. And SOTI is a society that's been established 5 years ago. I was one of the founding members, and it's a society for open, reliable, and transparent ecology and evolutionary biology. We have around 500 members globally. It's volunteer-run community. We organize annual virtual conference. We work together on research projects and opinion pieces and other interesting projects. So it's open not to just ecologists and evolutionary biologists, but to everyone. So we have non-biologists in there, and they are happy. And we are happy to have them as well. So check it out. It's soti.org. And some tagots for you, and a big thank you for listening.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone. Huge round of applause. This is, yeah, like if it wouldn't be insulting to your ears, like if I'm at a rock concert, I am one of the people who's like, what? And always doing the whoops, but that would just be awful on a Zoom call, so I won't do it here.
Thank you. And I wanted to acknowledge Aswati here. She was on one of my research teams. So hello, Aswati.
I'm so happy
Hi,
to hear
Lucia.
that.
How are you? Thank
Good to see you. Thank you for coming.
It's always wonderful to work with you.
Thanks a lot. Really, same. So good.
Yeah, I wanted to just briefly remark also, wow, like the diversity understandings that you've created as well as the hands-on projects is really inspiring. And when we get to the Q&A, I'm going to be like, tell me what we can do. Ha ha ha. We need to drink from this fountain. But we'll move on to our next and final speaker so that he has enough time. Aman, have you finished your lunch?
Hello, I have. I have another issue, as always. My file has been locked in the drive, which wouldn't unencrypt. I'm trying to unlock it in my folder, but until then, I can ramble probably.
Yeah,
And
freestyle it. You got this.
this happened as I am about to get the PDF. So let's see. I mean, it's loading on my mobile, but
Tell you what, do you want me to actually ask some questions to Alex and Losia while
yeah,
you're
yeah.
okay.
Hopefully, I'll figure it out in 2 minutes. If not, I'll just like do it without slides.
All right, like in rap, hip hop form, yes? Okay. So in that case, I will start with um Ceci. Okay, a different Ceci. I was thinking, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Yo, focus on the notes. Okay, first of all, for Alexander, we have a question in Spanish, which is, ¿Qué significa para ti la sostenibilidad de un proyecto o comunidad? In English, what does community sustainability mean to you?
Okay, I think it's the capacity to survive without people dependency. I think yeah, projects need to have a way to survive without the people that is running actually the project. Because many projects are, I think that there are no projects, that there are activities from some people. Is if the one who is guiding the project have to leave, yeah, many projects just go. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's dependency in documentation. In the practical way is documentation. It's funding, but I think yeah, if we have friends, if the project is solid in its documentation, it can survive. It can find more funding. Uh, but yeah, this is in a technical way is the ISO standard that that yeah allow the project to survive.
I love that. I do open source community meta research, and the someone who is important to the project leaving is known as a truck factor developer detachment event, TFDD. And there's actually studies on how communities survive that and what like is common to communities that do survive that. Lucia, I'm curious, what would your answer to this question be, even though it wasn't pointed at you?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. I think my answer is you need to have more than one lead, and you also need to have a backup plan, specifically agreed, because things happen. People sometimes need to leave. So if there is agreement that this can be taken, like pre-existing agreement, that this project can be taken over by next in charge person on another one, and basically you say it's up for grabs for anybody who wants to lead it potentially. Uh, then people are in a clear situation that okay, yes, we can take over. We have approval for that, and then it can be rescued.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Like last year, I had some serious family health issues, and Patricia Hertrich, who's also on the call, had just stepped up as co-executive director for OLS. Boy, was I glad that there was someone else, and boy, was it a trial by fire for your first month as co-executive director to be like, Yo's disappearing. Okay, Aman, how's it going?
yeah, I'm probably speaking without slides.
All right, okay. We'll come back to the rest of the questions for Alex and Lucia later.
I
Aman,
mean,
over to you.
also if there are like questions, I'm happy to like start at 2:45, honestly.
No, no. Let's get you over because I hate being sitting like watching the clock and thinking, will I have time to talk? I don't know. And slowly getting angrier and angrier at the host is not fair.
Fair enough. Uh, yeah, okay. I might just have lucked out with the phone exploitation, but as I do that, I'll start speaking. These were pretty like sort of silly slides anyway, so I think I can just do rap style as you preferred. I do not know any Spanish to be fair, but I'll try in English. Anyway, hi folks. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the OLS Community Spotlight. This I know is a long time in the making, and we've had such wonderful talks. So it does feel a little weird to ramble with random sort of just thoughts, but I think that was mostly my presentation. So I'll kind of take you through how I went about it. I was thinking about this and I asked Sarah on, okay, what do we actually need from a spotlight? What do you want me to focus on? What do you want me to just sort of, talk about? Because it's kind of like a nebulous, oh, nebula, there's a pun. It's kind of a nebulous thing to think about when I think of like my association with OLS, because there's always a lot going on there, like with that sort of association where, oh, I can define a lot of things as OLS in my life. Uh, and a lot of the things are adjacent. So I started sort of noting it down. I started, okay, when did I first start with OLS in 2022? And then how did it proceed? And then I got overwhelmed. So I just all of that. And how I went about it was like mostly around my learnings from OLS. And that's the path I took instead of like, okay, these are the projects, but I think mostly on the values, because that's something I feel that felt much more important to me in terms of what my interaction has been for like almost like 3.5 years now with this community. So there was this like, I mean, I'll one day I'll get the slides, but it's basically my first official interaction was in July 2022, where it was my email to the OLS team asking for an extension of deadline, which is kind of the theme that I've always on been, where I was like, hi guys, I just saw like you announced some extension for OLS 6. Can I submit my application later? And I remember you just sort of replying with, oh, it was lovely to meet you at Collaborations Workshop earlier this year. And yes, of course, you can submit your application. And I was just very surprised because I was like, oh, how does the executive director of OLS, this very fancy person, remember me? Because again, at that point, I was doing my undergrad in Delhi. And yeah, I was just a random undergrad who had attended CW. Excited for that. But yeah, that's how I started. Then I was in OLS 6 as a mentee. And then I've just been involved with the community in sort of different spaces and different capacities. Now, the learnings were mostly, I think, like just around a few things that we've all talked about in different contexts. So I think the first one would be just like about community, where it is like primarily a community and not like your coworkers or your colleagues. And I think that's what was very different, where I think one of the biggest things was, oh, allyship being a verb. And again, not just like a checkbox exercise or people actually standing up for each other or like just sort of, having sort of collective action, but also people caring for the things they do. I think that was the first thing that hit me with OLS. And that's something I realized very soon into it. Again, the mentor I was paired up with, I was like, oh, this is someone with lots of experience. Uh, they are like, they have all these sort of affiliations and experience, and I'm not sure how do I make the best of it. But ultimately, I think, and again, like, I think technically I am an OLS dropout because I don't think I ever graduated my own cohort, but I've been a mentor for other cohorts. So it's just like, how things go. But yeah, because I think plans changed and I did not go ahead with the original project itself, but I ended up doing like lots of other things on the side. And funnily enough, ended up meeting my mentor when I was in New York in 23, which was again like not something on the cards, but we just realized we were there. So yeah, I think community was the biggest sort of aspect of the first learning of just like realizing that, oh yeah, it is about like sort of the support that we have or the sort of freedom that we feel within OLS. Uh, then I think, yeah, just the lack of hierarchies and just truly open practices that helps a lot. Then, wait, okay, I do have this somewhat in my phone. I can just read from that. Yeah, and then I think like the next lesson was just like sort of the slow and steady progress and not about like trying to change the world within the 3 months within the open seeds cohort, which I wish that was possible. But again, like, yeah, the whole sort of theme around a win is a win, even if it's small. And just again, like small and consistent progress, I think that also helped me a lot with my learnings with OLS. And that's been the constant sort of, I think, motto throughout. So, for example, one of my professional engagements, which we recently sort of pursued, was looking at inclusive hiring and sort of inclusive leadership. And when we talk about that, just for context, so I am on the on a I am in the UK on a work visa, and instantly when we talk about sort of international hiring or inclusive hiring, it becomes a very very precarious sort of conversation with the UK environment right now. With all the things going on, it's just like, yeah, okay, this is a very difficult conversation. This is also like a very personal conversation. So I always like, yeah, have thoughts about it. But basically, we were discussing that, and it was like, yeah, like, oh, we should talk about this in the community. We should discuss sort of inclusive hiring. And we decided to give this presentation at the Step Up conference last year. Uh, and again, at that conference, it was so Malvika was there and Sarah was there. And I remember showing my slides in the morning to Malvika, and I'm like, okay, I had kind of toned down the presentation a lot because I was sort of in a fancy room representing sort of affiliations and talking about why we should hire people internationally because of merit, which was not the argument I want to make. But yeah. And I remember showing those slides to Malvika, and Malvika just like was like, no, you're going to your original points. You're just talking about, yeah, this is about like the human rights issue. This is about like an actual issue, and that's what you're doing. And I went very nervous to that stage. I'm like, all of the other collaborators in this presentation have much more experience to speak about any of this, and whatever I say might be wrong. But then again, like, yeah, it was very well received. And ever since, we've had a lot of uh, allies in the space reaching out and telling us their experiences. So just, yeah, sort of building on the small wins. And I think the final bit was just about like people, which has been again like the, I think, most central sort of part of it all. Like similar to the first point, is just like, yeah, community being a place for joy, but joy being at the center of community. And then also like just realizing that what are we doing all of this for? And that again like kind of helps doing the work, because again, I've had multiple conversations with multiple people in OLS, and it's just, yeah, like, oh, you're meeting someone or you're having a drink with someone and you end up talking about work, but it's not like feeling like work because it is something that people genuinely care about. And that has happened with multiple uh, OLS team members, so they do need to work less. But yeah, so those were, I think, the three core themes I was about to touch on. And all in all, to say, like, I think all of these sort of core values has guided me a lot through my professional career. So I started with OLS 6 in 2022. Through that, I got fellowship with the SSI, which was in 2023, extending that project. And then I moved to the UK at the same time when I got like a research software engineering job. Now again, like slightly adjacent, Yo was someone who would like be the one who would sort of help me navigate all these sort of new aspects of academia, understanding things, just mentoring me in general. So that was again one of those things which was like, it wasn't just limited to my association with the OLS6. And then yeah, I've been involved with the OLS with a few different things. I've been a mentor for a couple of cohorts and just facilitated calls. And I recently also joined the Software Sustainability Institute as the research software training manager. And again, that was, I think, a lot of that sort of effort isn't credit to OLS. And yeah, I think there's lots of exciting collaborations coming up, lots of projects I will be doing with this community and with these folks, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, that's me, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. Everyone, huge round of applause. I have two reactions. The first is graduation isn't all it's cut out to be. I say as someone who didn't graduate high school. Um, and the second is, oh, you called it a small victory, that talk, the talk about immigration, and I heard that you had people in the audience yelling out F the fascists. So I gotta say that's more than small victory.
That's the thing. It's like it's a big one from what I expected that room to react like, but it's a small in terms of like what we ultimately want, I guess. But yeah, I do agree with you.
Love it. All right, folks, we've got 9 minutes for questions before we set you free, and this series will be complete. And of course, I've lost the window I'm looking for, but I will find the window. Oh, the notepad is like gorgeously pastel right now with all of the notes. Thank you, everyone. Um, so here's one for Alman. So you and Alex both mentioned the challenge of looking back and trying to trace your journey. So looking forward instead. What's something you would like to see from this community? How should OLS and all of our friends in the various different related communities, how should we be evolving? What do you want to see in 2030 or 2040? Oh, you don't need to raise your hand for this one. This is directly to you.
Oh, I thought it was like for a couple of people. I'm not honestly sure. So I was recently reading the paper that Paz did, and I was reflecting on kind of just like, yeah, I think that paper reflects on a lot about how OLS functions as a community, or like how uh, what are the things that could be improved. And I was thinking about that as well. And I honestly don't have like a direct answer because so this is still new to me. So my new role, for example, uh, has gone from a very service and a research software engineering role to a more people forward role to a more sort of collaborative diplomatic role, which I'm still learning the language of and I'm very stupid at still. But I think the one thing I keep realizing, which is the difficult thing to quantify, is that like a lot of it is just like the sort of people politics, and a lot of it is about just the soft skills. And I always joke about it, like I've always got whatever job, whatever interview, or whatever things in academia, whatever, just because I'm a yapper, just because I can ramble. And that's what's, yeah, I mean, I don't have my slides right now, but yeah, I think that's one thing that I'd be curious about, like if there's something around the soft skills aspect or the sort of cultural aspect of, say, a lot of the projects might engage with, because I feel, say, if we're looking at open data in sort of a global majority country, I think like making an excellent project sometimes does not help as much as like talking to the officials or knowing people does. So that kind of thing. But again, it's I don't know. I don't have an answer, I think.
I guarantee you that Sarah is training manager and Irene and Reva, who are our seeds to systems researchers, were scribbling down notes right then. Like, we need to have our training going onto this, guarantee you. Uh,
Yeah, I'll probably eat Sarah's ears off about it anyway.
yeah, sorted. Out of curiosity, Losha and Alex, would either of you have anything to add to Arman's answer?
And without words, it also happens every time I fill the cohort formulary of what how OLS can improve. But yeah, first I start with the thinking that the work with the you are doing with OLS is so good in training people, in having people together. But yeah, I can imagine something right now to improve. But I think it's important to maintain the trainings. Yeah, it's yeah. I think from the base it's very important because yeah, many people is coming, but also things are changing a lot with AI and all of this stuff. Politics, many things are changing very, very fast. So yeah, especially maintaining the training, the contact with people, it's very important.
Thanks, Alex. Losha?
Yeah, I second both opinions. I think training is essential, especially in soft skills and things we are not learning directly in academia during our university education. But also, as Aman said, if you have access to important people and you can talk to them and convince them and show them like different perspectives, but quite often people are just not aware of what's happening, or they kind of don't want to know what's happening. And they want to live in their little bubble. And if you can poke that bubble a little bit, that may help how they think about things and how they make decisions that affect other people outside of the bubble. But I also wanted to underscore the importance of having evidence. And I recently, actually, I want to talk about a book. I finished listening to audiobook The Exception by Kati Deneke. And it was amazing. And it's very much about history of science, but it's about stories of women in science. And it's very different from a kind of typical biography. It's very wide and it's just amazing. And it's all about community building, gathering evidence, and then using those soft skills to communicate and negotiate and persuade to make changes, systemic changes, because it's never simple. And I highly recommend that book if you want to learn about advocacy and how things work behind the scenes, and some shocking stories, really shocking stories, and power of getting together and talking about things that we normally don't talk about, and countering biases and systemic inequities. And yeah, I think I just wanted to share the most recent one thing, the link to the website. So this is a follow-up project to the project that we did about Best Paper Awards, and we did a little experiment. We did something, we did an action to prompt for change in how those awards are described and awarded. So we are running this second round of data collection to see if things really change. So priorities to the original team members, but we will probably very likely have several additional spots on this project. So have a look at the website. If you are interested, get in touch with me. I will send you expression of interest form. We always benefit from diverse perspective, diverse skills. And yeah, I hope this will be something exciting to have you on, to work with you in the, hopefully.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you everyone who's come and listened today, and contributed questions, contributed an emoji or a smile or a hi, or just listened. And also, super big thank you to Alex, Aman, and to Losia. Oh, and Sarah, she organized this thing. And also, everyone on my team, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to stop. This is like Oscar speeches. But what I did want to say was something that I recently heard 2 or 3 weeks ago, which is that he said his generation was defined by the Berlin Wall coming down. And so 1 month there was no chance it was ever coming down. But you keep on pushing because you never know which tiny push is going to be that all of a sudden this amazing, enormous thing that no one thought would ever be down was down. And I have listened to all of these talks and the previous ones, and I can see people just gently pushing against that enormous wall that we want down. So keep it up, my friends. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your week. Sarah, I will do my best to make you cry. I am very happy to. Yes, recording, I'm talking to the chat. All right. Love you all. Be good. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.